Great day, beautiful people. How are you? I hope all is especially well and in increasing measure, getting better and better each and every day. I wanted to just come to you. I have been wanting and been called to come to you with this message regarding what has been just dropped in my spirit for the last 3 weeks or so. And it is a message that Spirit has just been calling us that can hear and listen to a place of reconciliation, restoration, and renewal. So, and it's not a coincidence. It's definitely in divine alignment with this time of season that we have been in. Resurrection Sunday just passed, and it's all about the restoration of the true self, the divine self, the higher self, standing in your power. However, the process and the steps were given to me as such reconciliation. And so I took some steps in that direction to not only reconcile with others, but this reconciliation is really about us, chosen ones, reconciling matters within our own selves, with our self, our shadow self, and the activities and the happenings that were guided by our shadow self. And we find ourselves maybe disappointed in ourselves for one reason or another, for not taking action that we could have taken, or for taking action that we wish we had never taken, right? So the higher consciousness, is aware that our shadow self also likes to lay blame and cast and accuse accusations on the self. And I have recently reconciled with some things within myself that I was disappointed in myself. And so I didn't need to extend that energy to another party, but I chose to do that because for me, it's about integrity and transparency and taking full responsibility for actions and thoughts and behaviors and outcomes, right? And so I did reach out to someone that I love very much and hadn't been speaking with for too long. I realized like it was 9 years, and that's ridiculous. And so I put forth and offered a message of reconciliation and an apology for things that I fell short in. But it wasn't really just about me saying I'm sorry or wanting her to accept my apology. It was me releasing myself from those things that I found disappointing in myself. And whether or not a person receives that is not really important. But what's important is that you, as an individual, receive and reconcile with yourself and forgive yourself and give yourself grace for the shortcomings that you may be, assessing. And so after the reconciliation part is to be restored, right? Restored to that baseline place of who we truly are, because we are truly light beings, love beings, and powerful co-creators with the Most High. And so restoration of that narrative and realizing that that is the truth of who we truly are. We're not broken, we're not lacking, and we're not in poverty. We are abundant beings. We are what the Bible says, let the poor say, I am rich, right? So the poor in spirit is not our best self. And so we need to be restored in consciousness about who we truly are. And once we realize that we are, transcending that old way of being, that old narrative, that old pattern, Now we are restored to our rightful places. But this, at the end of the day, is still a season of renewal, right? Renewal and transforming what was on a lower frequency and raising the frequency to a place of renewal. And in this renewal space, I'm finding that there is one frequency that is the only frequency that we need to abide by and stay on, and know that in that frequency all things are well, and that's the frequency of love. Absolute, unconditional love, divine love. That's who we truly are. That's who the Christ conscious beings represent, divine love. And so in that, that's a completely like new space to be in, shaking off excuses and condemnations and guilts and shames and all of the things that do not bring about healing, and staying in that place, that frequency, that high frequency of love, which heals all things internally and externally. And so I find that, you know, there is no mad in me. I'm not mad at anybody. Sometimes I get frustrated with work, but I go back to being grateful, because there are a lot of people who don't have work and wish they did have work. So, I'm mad at nothing. I'm mad at no one. I hold no grudges, and I choose love. Because in this cancel culture, sometimes people can just say, well, I'm cutting off this negative energy and I'm cutting off this person. And that might be your call. However, I find that love, the divine love that I'm talking about, doesn't even entertain that, right? Divine love accepts and is always open to reconciliation, always open to having a conversation or an experience that is leading to healing, versus taking the position that, oh, I'm going to cut this person off. I don't want anything to do with that energy. Because at the end of the day, there was a time and a place where someone may have looked upon you or myself and felt like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that energy. But thanks be to the Most High, there are those that stay by our side irregardless to what we're going through. And they carry us through with love, not with scoldings and condescending comments and pseudo support, but with true love. Those are the individuals that carry you through your darkest moments. And so now that we're in this stage, in this period of renewal, love is the only answer for me. Love is the path. And so I pray that this brings you some inspiration to, first and foremost, give yourself grace and love. Be restored. Remember who you truly are. You're not the flesh. You're not the roles that you play. You're a divine being. And be renewed even in that. There's always room for ascension, always room for growth. And so let us grow in divine love. Well, I hope this message found you well and leaves you even better. Namaste.